So I figured what would be great is try to get as many people on today's Zoom chat speaking, right? And just giving a sense of encouragement, giving a sense of positivity as well, not just for our own community group, but hey, on YouTube land, Facebook land as well. And I figured, well, at least you guys know, since we go over so much in terms of mindset with Heartletics, let's talk about that as well. So let's go around the room. I'm going to be calling on a few people. Just give us a sense of like, your biggest win from start to currently where we're at right now. What is your biggest sense of accomplishment for a physical win? And then be your biggest sense of accomplishment for maybe like a mindset win as well. So, Coach Mark, would you mind going first?
Yeah, I mean, I think in some ways they're connected, right? So for me personally, right, last week, there was just some days where I just was not feeling myself, wasn't feeling the motivation, so to speak, but I still did the workouts, hit some PRs because at this point in time, I've learned discipline, which kicks in when motivation doesn't. So, my physical wins, would say, are hitting every workout on my schedule last week, even when it wasn't my best week, in other regards. And then, mindset wise, to kind of piggyback off of that, right? We had a habit contest, the month before, excuse me. And so rather than just tapering off those habits, I've kind of picked a few of them that I found to be really helpful and enjoyable. And, even though there's no contest, I've continued on with them because they became habits that I liked and became part of my discipline. The quick burpees in the morning, just another level of getting some physical movement in the morning. I've been enjoying kind of sharing some sort of motivational video with the group while I'm out for a walk with the dog in the morning. So I've kept that up. Um, and then lastly, when it comes to mindset, I've really honed in a lot over the past few weeks on meditation as just an outlet that really is helpful for me with whatever is going on that might be bothering me. So mindset wise, that's a tool that I've picked up, through my time with Heartletics that has served me incredibly well.
And you said something that I don't want to skim over. You started off with saying, last week I wasn't really feeling motivated. And let me ask you just one simple question, actually, two questions. One, do you think before Heartletics, if you had weeks when you felt unmotivated, would you continue to show up like how you did last week, or would it be a different story?
It'd be a completely different story because I can tell you, from actual experience that there were things that I tried in the past that when I lost the novelty of them or the motivation of them, they went away. They just didn't continue because they weren't habits or discipline, they were shiny new objects. This has turned into discipline and ongoing habits, and it's enough time that I've seen that continue that I know that that's a fact.
And what do you think is the biggest contributor to having that sense of discipline? You said the motivation, that hey, if you stick with it, it's going to determine that self of discipline. What do you think in terms of like what was the biggest contributor that helped, bring that sense of discipline to the equation to help you show up during those hard weeks?
So I think it was that Heartletics as a program was very what's the word I'm looking for? Sustainable. Right? Heartletics is doable, but it also has success. Heartletics works. So when you combine those two things, right, you're able to get past that period where, the shiny object syndrome kind of drops off and you don't feel like doing anything anymore because you've seen success. You are doing stuff that's sustainable, that fits your lifestyle. So you can keep doing it enough to, have the time to turn it into a sustainable habit.
Love it. Love it. Coach Jeremy, let's go to you next, brother. Share with us, what is the biggest physical win that you had in terms of your Heartletics journey, and then your biggest mindset win, if you don't mind.
Physically, that's tough because there's just been so much that's just snowballed. Getting off blood pressure medications, getting my blood pressure under control, being able to feel healthy, being able to roll around and play with kids on the floor without getting winded. There's so many physical things that have taken place. I mean, I'm bench pressing more now than when I competed whenever I was a teenager. My body is in better shape than it's ever been. I sustain under 18% body fat for the last almost 2.5 years, rather than 25 to 30% body fat for the last 30 years. So the physical stuff, it's endless. There's no one thing I can pinpoint. It's just changed my entire life physically. Mentally, there's nothing that can compare. When you jump into the mindset side of this, you learn to take even the worst adversity in the world and be able to step back from it, be the rock you need to be in it, and then also learn to be vulnerable. And most of the guys on here know my son got hit by a pickup the last day of school last year. Almost lost him. And it was one of the most heart-wrenching. I mean, work on your mental health, just crush you. But throughout that entire process, the way my mindset has changed since joining Heartletics, I was able to step back and go, I have to be the rock for my family, for my son, for everything I needed to do. But I was also able to be vulnerable enough to reach out to guys in this group, in this family. It's not just a group, this is a family that were there for support to help keep that mindset going, to keep me raised up where I needed to be and not try to carry all that on my own, because no man's an island. And here, you don't have to be. Whatever you're struggling with, you can work through it. And it really improves your mindset, getting everything from the coaches, everything from the clients. It's just amazing what it does for you.
I love that. I love that. I like how you also said no man's an island, because I know a lot of people, man, they have a hard time with waving the white flag, right? And admitting like, hey, I need help. And then actually like, getting to the boat with like, that's gonna take them to civilization, So I'm happy that you addressed that. Coach Jason, let's go to you next. In terms of your Heartletics journey, you lost well over 100 pounds, right? Constantly making improvements and everything like this. What would be in terms of like your biggest physical win, but then also your biggest mindset win?
Yeah, so like you said, my biggest physical over the last year is dropping that 100 pounds of body fat, which is life changing, because before I was having a hard time playing with my young boys. I would get so tired, I just didn't want to do it. I'd go home, sit on the couch, watch TV, and just watch them play. Now I can interact with them. I can run around with them. I wear them out sometimes, so that's great. I love to be able to do that. So that's my biggest physical win, just because I feel so much better now than when I did. Mentally, boy, that I'm gonna have to say is getting over my self-limiting beliefs. Prior to Heartletics, my life was just negative, and it was all on myself, because I put myself there. I didn't like myself. I didn't love myself. I didn't like anything about myself. But with the mindset phases, we dug deep, and it sucked, digging down and trying to figure out all that stuff. And then, Coach Mark and I got to do that little exercise, which that's still one of the hardest things, I'm sure, for him too, that we did. But just to get that out and understand that self-love is important, because you got to love yourself for who you are so that you can love other people. That has just completely changed my life the last year. And like Coach Dermy said, even when things are dark and negative, there's still positive somewhere there. So instead of looking at the negative stuff now, I try to find positive in everything.
I love that, man. I love that. Thank you for sharing.
Yep.
Coach Mike, let's go to you next, brother. What, in terms of your, Heartletics transformation and journey, what has been, your biggest physical win and then also your biggest mindset win, you would say?
Yeah, so physical win would definitely be, getting off my medications and losing, almost 70 pounds. But with that is being able to sustain that for almost a year now.
Yeah.
Whereas, many times before, yeah, you lose it and then you gain it back plus. Not so anymore. In addition to all the other physical benefits, the other guys have already said, and I don't need to reiterate, but all those things apply as well. Mindset wise, the win would be for me would be having my wife recognize the mental change and and be proud of me for that, I'm stepping forward and being the leader for my family that I need to be.
I love that. And fun fact, Mike, you've created for me two why you should join Heartletics videos. And the most recent one that I was doing the updates on, I was comparing it to the first go around. And like Jason was on there, Mark was on there, you were on there, and your guys' face, like you can tell just the changes in terms of like the face, like the amount of like weight loss and everything like that, but also like how much happier you guys are. It's like a big noticeable difference, man. So kudos to you, brother. I'm always proud of you, Mike. Coach Brian, and then Coach Gabe will go to you next. Coach Brian, if I can unmute you real quick. I know you got babies sleeping on you galore, man. So maybe you want to whisper. Maybe you want to whisper
No,
in the camera.
no, we learned that you just got to be loud and all the time. That way they get used to it. So anyway, uh, so my biggest physical change, obviously not just the weight, but for me, it's like the ability now to like push myself, like knowing that I can always do more. I can always, because before I was very sedentary. Now I'm a lot more active with my family. There'd be days where after work I just wouldn't want to do anything at all. So I'd be like sitting at work all day at home and then not want to do anything, just be on Netflix. So the fact that now I'm just more active with my family is a plus, especially with three young boys. I want to promote them to be active through their lifestyle so they never have to deal with my goal for them is to never have to deal with being overweight ever. They had like, learning how to eat properly, and knowing that is such a huge thing for me. Even when and I'll be honest, I go through my ups and downs with my nutrition, but I know that once I get back on track, I know how to get back on track. I have all the tools for that, and that's been physically the biggest change for me. Mentally, I think the biggest thing for me that's changed is it's kind of interesting. So like, I feel like I've been fairly a confident person, but I'm way more confident now going through Heartletics. Not as in like, oh, look at me with my shirt off kind of thing, but no, like knowing that if if I want to accomplish something, I am now more confident that I can do that. Like even if it feels like it's really far away, like, that goal seems a little crazy. I know that now there's steps that I can take to get to that goal, and I'm not just automatically just saying no to everything. Oh no, I can't do that. No, I can't. It's like, okay, yeah, I can get there. I'm just not ready yet. And so that mind shift change for me was huge. And then also learning grace. Like I felt like I was such a I was kind of like stuck to the scale, like the weight, it's so important, one bad night of eating and then I'd be depressed for, a week or whatever until I felt like my weight got back down again. Like I'm over that now. So I feel like I've been free from that bondage of focusing on, weight and having a bad night of eating or something, like torturing myself over that, like knowing that it's just temporary. It's not forever. It's just, and knowing, but the biggest thing for me is, I was sort of a binge eater before, and so I've really learned to control um, those urges. And I think a lot of it has to do with the fact that we learn how to eat properly for our body types. Because now I'm not nearly as hungry as I was previously, like where I'd go off the deep end. Eating protein more every day like helps keep that at bay. So for me, those are the biggest changes.
Dude, I love that, man. Those are so many solid wins you just said. What resonated with me the most was what you said about like, if something comes your way, you're more so looking at it as an opportunity rather than a challenge. And I resonate with that tremendously when it comes to like building up confidence, where it's like, you know, anybody can be a face of adversity and constantly look at it as, man, I can't do that, or it's not in my cards as being dealt my hand, or whatever the case may be, and go back to their old ways. But when you start challenging and questioning yourself, then say, okay, but even if there's a small little slither of hope, right, and faith, and I can overcome that and can reach my goals, right, you start opening up the doorways in terms of confidence. So I love that. Coach Gabe, let's go to you next, brother. In terms of your Heartletics journey, man, from start to where we're at today, why don't you share with everybody, what has been your biggest physical win? And then also, what has been your biggest mindset win?
So my physical win, is because before I was ashamed, right? You're ashamed because you don't feel comfortable in your own skin because you're overweight and you let yourself go, right? So my biggest win will be like how I dress in my clothes, right? I think that is so important. It was to me at least, because like I noticed that I was buying big baggy clothes to hide my stomach, to hide my man boobs, and you know, and now I get to buy clothes that fits me well, and I feel so much better wearing those clothes. um and every time I put it on, and that's the second part, like the mindset of confidence, right? That confidence just comes rolling right in because you worked hard for that. You did your due diligence, you became dedicated with it, and now you fit in those clothes, right? So that vision that you had is now coming to fruition. And that's super big for me because no matter what, you still have to look in the mirror, right? You still have to put that clothes on. You still have to look in the mirror, and you got to like that guy on your side. And physically, it does matter. So, to me, physically, it was just the way my clothes fit on me, man. It was felt so good to send a pile of that clothes to the freaking to the to the shelter because it
I
doesn't fit
remember when
me.
you posted that. You posted
Yeah.
that the big pile inside the community group. Yeah.
Oh, that was expensive too. There was some sport jackets in there. Yeah. So there was some sport jackets and some nice dress clothes. These are like, they go on sale, but still like $600 suits that I had to get rid of. Um, but it felt good. I never felt so good about ripping money up and throwing it away. So that was my physical win, which was huge to me personally. Mentally, you guys kind of touched on it. I think Brian touched on it a little bit. It was one of the questions I asked Coach Joe in the beginning was food, man. He's like, because you got that mental game and like, am I not going to be able to eat this? Am I going to be strong enough not to be able to eat this? And am I going to be able to, say no to that, brownie, right? But now mentally, when it comes to my food, I know how to walk through my life with food, right? I don't have that food anxiety where I cannot eat. I remember calling to Coach Joe and going through our walkthrough, and I'm like, dude, I love sushi, man. I want. Am I gonna be able to eat some sushi? And he goes, hell yeah, you're gonna be able to eat some sushi. And I'm like, all right, good, because I can't give up my sushi. So the fact that I can Friday nights, I can go out with my wife and go have some awesome sushi, drink a little sake, and not even worry about it the next day and get right back on it. And nothing happens. You may feel a little sluggish because you had a little drink or two, so you may not be as fast out of the bed. But the fact that I could do that, and it's been over a year and a half, and I'm still at the same confident weight, clothes, everything looks the same, if not getting better. I mean, that's huge to me, man. That food mental game, uh, I was worried about that, and I don't have to worry about that. So that was big to me.
I love that. I love that. And I'll never forget, Mick, I'm gonna come to you here in a little bit, but I'll never forget when you asked about Mick, what did you say? It was on one of the Zoom chats. You said, hey, when I'm making meatloaf, can I actually use ground beef instead of ground turkey or the hamburgers? I was like, dude, ground beef all day, brother. Ground turkey tastes like garbage. But we'll come to you in a little bit, Mick. I want to go to Rick. Rick, man, if you don't mind unmuting yourself. Because Gabe just mentioned about the clothes, and you had a huge win where you posted your jeans, man. It was like you could fit like a second person in there almost, man. So
Absolutely.
if you don't mind sharing, man, what has been your biggest physical win? And I know, you haven't been on the program as long as some of these guys that just got done speaking, but you've been here for quite some time where the mindset shift is really working, especially now with you. So if you mind sharing some physical wins and also that mindset win, man, I would love to hear from you.
Oh, sure. Well, my biggest win is well, I lost 21 total pounds so far. And I lost about 5% of my body weight so far. I feel stronger. I feel stronger than I ever had before. Even when I was younger, like, I used to do demo jobs, stuff like that, demolition jobs, run jackhammers. So but I feel much stronger than that now. Some of my wins is like getting my workouts in. I just don't miss workouts. I just like I didn't feel good like going last week at all. Um, but I went. Like I got it done. And as soon as I get into the gym, my friends in the gym, they're like, "Oh yeah, we're glad you made it." Like they're all like right behind me saying, "Yeah, man, you're gonna feel much better when you're done." I said, "Oh yeah," and I feel good when I'm done like that. My other biggest win is my clothes, man. My clothes are like falling off of me now. They are, dude. They're like, I mean, they're just. I got so much room, and my work jumper, I already tightened it like 3 times,
I love that, man. I love
and
that.
then my mental win, like I'm a much nicer person now. I'm able to think through some problems now without like flipping out and like going off the deep ends. Um, uh, my wife is a big supporter of it, so that she saw how the eating plan, the nutrition was working for me and everything like that. Well, she switched everything around. Like she threw out all of her keto stuff, um, and she threw all that stuff out. And she redid her macros, did all this stuff. I bet she's probably lost 15 pounds so far. Like
Dude, that's inspiring.
she's so happy, and she's
I
like,
love that.
oh, and then she'll watch your videos and stuff like that. On the app, and I let her watch the videos and stuff. Man, she's really onto it. She likes it a lot with the
I love that.
mindset and things like that. The motivation, determination keeps you going. You know what I mean? Gets
Dude,
you
I
there.
do. And tell your wife, man, throw that keto garbage in the trash. Where she doesn't need it, right? Just stick with hitting the protein
Yeah,
goal, calories, make it simple, make life fun, man.
it is.
Um,
It's great.
I want to ask though, because you mentioned this a while back, actually, Rick. This was man, when was this? Maybe 4 weeks ago. You mentioned about your son noticing a difference in terms of like your positivity. Would you mind
Oh
sharing a
yeah.
little bit about that?
Yeah. Well, I was kind of the guy that would if a problem came, even little problems, I would just because I just didn't have the patience for it. I didn't have I used to drink beer a lot. I was a big drinker and things like that. And so wasn't the nicest kind of guy. And so when I gave it all up, I still have some bourbons every now and again, but no beers though, because beers just don't make me feel good anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And but he said, Dad, he goes, man, he goes, since you started with Heartletics with Coach Joe and with all the rest of the community and stuff like that, and he goes, you're such a nicer person. He goes, I got to tell you, he goes, you're just an all around nicer person. Like you just don't fly off the deep end anymore. You just think through things and say, hey, let's do it like this. Let's do it like that. Instead of
Yeah.
saying, what are you doing? Stuff like that. And that really made me feel good. And that really keeps keeps it tight that you want to keep on going. You know what I mean?
Yeah, especially when you see like it's rubbing off on your family. You mentioned about your wife
Yeah.
and obviously, with your kids, like
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
huge. And it's because we always tell everybody, and at least try our best to coach this, is like, hey, life's gonna throw you challenges, right? So it's like, don't respond, don't react. Instead, take a step back and observe the situation, right? Because you
Right.
never know when there might be a blessing in disguise in the midst of the storm. You never
I
know
know it
when it
helps.
might be, yeah, a challenge that might be just like a minor setback for even a greater comeback, you know?
Right. Absolutely.
Cool, brother. Cool.
You
Mick,
bet.
Mick, I'm gonna come to you next now. So let's unmute you. And then Mick, you've been crushing it, man, since pretty much day one. I gotta say, I'm pretty impressed because I wasn't expecting to see constant wins from you from the get-go, but we have been. And it's been a lot of fun coaching you. So I guess share with everybody in terms of, what has been your biggest physical win? And then on top of that, what has been your biggest like mindset win from start to finish to where we are today?
Well, my physical wins kind of like everybody else. I've you know I've lost like 17 pounds since the first of the year, and 5% body fat, which I'm more impressed with than the weight.
Yeah.
And so yeah, and it's been not a tough journey, but like you said, ever since the beginning I've been consistent with everything I do, and just been doing my best to make your job easier. So
Yeah, you make it easy for me. Thank you.
but I appreciate Mark's help too, all his help he's given me. Changing workouts for me when I want to stay at home and work out, since I got a new workbench or weight bench now. So it's a lot better than my old one. And
Pause. Hold,
yeah,
hold on. Mick, do you mind, since this is being recorded, can you just give Mark a little extra love in that, man? Because here's the thing. When I tell people that we offer 24/7 support, people think I'm full of it, right? Would you mind, Mark, excuse me, Mick, on several occasions, I guess like in terms of the lead time, when you would get a response back from either Mark or myself, like whether it's scanning a restaurant menu, which is like a weekly thing, or it's like updating workouts, when do you typically hear back from Mark?
real quick. I mean,
Like how quick? Like minutes wise or seconds?
it's like within the hour. If he's
Yeah.
doing something, it it's pretty much within the hour.
Yeah. Do you think like would you ever expect that in terms of like, man, if I'm going out to eat or hey, I need this adjustment to get a reply back like that?
No,
Yeah.
no.
Yeah. So Mark, you keep on kicking butt. Now, Mick, what about a mindset win?
Well, my mindset win goes back, I think, actually to um goes back to my consistency on everything I've done for 2.5 months. I was way off the boat on that before I came to Heartletics. And I have more discipline now. Like I'll go to Costco and man, I tell my wife it'd be easy just to eat dinner over there and get one of them big hot dogs, but I can't do it. And you know, I'm I felt guilty yesterday. I had some calories left, so I actually had a single at Wendy's instead of a double stack. I felt kind of guilty about it, but
Shouldn't.
it was within the realm of my calories and everything. So but yeah, and ever since I've been working out the first year, my grandson's been working out off of YouTube.
Yeah, I love that.
So he's developing some muscles. He shows them to me every time he comes over. So
Yeah.
and my daughter even commented on the fact that he's getting some muscles now since he's been working out, since I've been working out. So
Yeah, you're being that role model, Mick. You're leading by example, man. And that's what I always want for our members. It's like I tell everybody, you never know what kind of effect that you can have on your friends and family. And it all starts by you just filling up your cup and saying, okay, hey, what can I do today to improve my life? Can I work out? Can I eat healthier? And you never know how that could positively affect somebody else.
and like I told my wife this morning, I haven't wore this shirt in like, you know, ever since ever since I've been working out and before then, because it's always really snug on me and stuff. But now it fits pretty good. So
I love that, man.
yeah.
Good, good wins, man. I love hearing that. Let's go to Tom, and then Dan, we're gonna finish with you. All right, brother. So, Tom, man, from start to finish, man, would you mind sharing with everybody, some wins in terms of the physical, but also in terms of like your mindset as well?
Sure. The physical, I guess, first of all, just understanding how the body works and being educated on that so that I can be in control instead of just going out there and let it, cast to the wind, right? Overall, from the time I've been at Heartletics, which has been a little over a year, I've lost 30 pounds and I'm down at least 10% in the body fat. Fortunately, I didn't have that much to lose, but I still have a ways to go because I'm still working on reducing body fat. So I'd say, just the education of learning how everything works, and then also the results of being able to come down. As everybody knows, I'm 74, so it gets a little harder when you're older, but you know what? If I can do it, I know anybody can do it. And so the other mindset, again, everybody's kind of, said the same thing, touched on it. For me, I would say with using more of a positive mindset on everything. Everybody said it in a little bit different words, but it's you need to be able to, when something happens, you said it, Coach Joe, it could be a blessing. It could be learning something. that you need to learn. I've run across a lot of things, inspirational quotes on Instagram where, said, God said, I put you there because you needed to move and I needed to teach you something. So, that's definitely true. And just being able to reframe a situation. You all know I'm a business owner, have a lot of stress with a lot of things going on in the business, and really having the reinforcement of the positive mindset has really been extremely helpful to keep stress down and to be able to also have an influence on the people around me. One of the interesting things, my office manager, she's like in her early 30s, and she gained a lot of weight after her last child. And now she's started to, I think been inspired by what is happening with me. And she started on reducing weight. I think she's lost at least 20 pounds now. And so I think, again, as you said, Coach Joe, influencing people around you, I think is one of the best things that we can do. And so having that positive mindset and showing people by example what you can do is very powerful.
I love that, man. I love that. Solid wins. Solid wins, Tom. Dan, let's go to you, man. Saving the best for last. Let me unmute you. There we go. Dan, would you mind sharing? You're kind of someone like, you've been on here for quite some time, but not too long as compared to some of these other members, that kind of shared today. Would you mind kind of sharing in terms of from start to finish, what has been, your biggest physical win and what has been your biggest, mindset win?
Thanks, Coach Joe. Hey, I've been here for 2 months, and the biggest thing is losing weight, and then have that being the fitness goal, and then the mindset win is getting compliments for the weight you've lost.
I love that. Awesome. Well, I'm gonna put an end to the recording here. But once again, if you guys are, let's say, watching this in terms of the Facebook group, hey, you guys can obviously join these calls, right? These live discussions that we do. I'm gonna have somewhere inside the Facebook group a link to click on below. And then if you guys are watching this on YouTube, hey, we'd love to give this video a thumbs up. Leave a comment down below also if you have any, comments, questions, anything like that. And subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already.